And now, coming to you from the Pensado Media Center, powered by Westlake Pro.
Happy birthday to us.
Yes.
And some of the Maroon 5 guys join us to celebrate, plus a few surprise friends. A new Avid Isotope winner. The Pensado Village is growing. You're at the place. For the 300th time, it's Pensado's place.
He's trying to make me laugh.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Oh, man, you know, what do you say? I guess we just have to say there's so many people that are involved, but you guys got the prize, you know? Yeah. You guys really are at the foundation of everything we do, including 300 episodes without us missing one.
Shall we get to it?
No, let's go home.
Mic drop. Peace. See you later. Hey, guys, great to be with you. We've got some stuff to talk about the 300th episode, but first, let's do the winner in the Avid Isotope sweepstakes. Thanks so much to both those guys. You know the prizes. You can see them right here on the screen, and you got about a week or so to enter. Enter right at this URL right below me, and Dave has our winner, who is?
Chris Love.
Mr. Chris Love. Let's give him a round of applause. Chris, yay. Chris, congratulations.
Chris got a drum roll.
Chris got a little drum roll. Probably a drum roll is in order. Rare for me to be at a loss of words, but they've just bestowed this gift on us, which is just stunning. 300 episodes, we're still rolling. To each and every one of you in our audience, we are on bended knee. I mean, we just couldn't be here without you.
For sure.
A lot of people have gotten us here. To our partners, past and present, certainly the present ones. Avid from the beginning, Recording Connection has hung in there for a long time. Westlake Pro, our new friends and family. Folks like DTS and Lander, Fab Factory. People like John Cerullo, Ron Dixon. Our patron saint and spirit guide, John McBride and the Blackbird Academy, just really incredible. To our unbelievably awesome team, past and present, you see their names right here. They have chosen to stick and stay through adversity when it's tight, money's short, money's there. We didn't get here by ourselves. It's really incredible. And then obviously to Dave and I's left every week. Our most unbelievable guests who trust us, they support us, they allow us to shine a light on their incredible gifts. I mean, as you'll see some of these pictures who came through, we get Gavin Lurson, you know, You're Our Heroes, Ross Hogarth, This Trusted Family, Candace Stewart, Paula, CLA, incredible.
That's all I can say too, you know? It's like, first of all, 300 episodes without missing one. That's
that's a testament.
There was times when I thought about it, but they put so much pressure on us to be here and do something, but in a good way, you know, wouldn't miss it for the world.
And if we're telling the truth, it is probably our favorite time of the week is to come here and have this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And when Leo Saramago hits that guitar, it just makes everything, puts a smile on your face. It transforms you.
And you know what? I think I would be certainly remiss if I didn't thank.
Oh, let's don't do that.
Got to. I mean, look, here's the reality. So it's obviously a little bit emotional because we had to fight to make this happen, right? It's not been easy.
Yeah, daily.
Yeah. So the spirit and the conscience and the guide of all this is the heart of Dave Pensado, who only you and I know what it requires. Only you and I know the sacrifice.
I'll agree with that part.
And you just could not be a better partner and a better friend, and here we are. So what do you think about all this? Because I think we need to pop a bottle.
Thank you for saving me from...
Yeah, because I'm the one who gets emotional. Savior. Ooh, here, brother. So, man.
In the world-famous cup.
CLA said 301 million to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, tell me your thoughts, man. This thing has your name on it. Here you go. Drink the shit, dude.
I'm at a little bit lost for words.
Yeah, but I want to see you get toasted.
No, you don't.
Okay.
I get violent.
Oh, yeah, we don't.
But Man, I'm at a loss for what?
I kind of want to see you violent on air. Anyways.
What do you call it, Bigfooting or something?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to say, man.
Right. It's hard to figure it out.
But I will say this: when you go through life, the show is incredibly important to both of us. But our friendship and the bond that has generated and become stronger as a result of the show's ups and downs, and that I'll be eternally grateful for. When the show's over, the memories I'll take start with my friendship with you, and that relationship. My father told me when I was a little kid, I said, "Dad, I got lots of friends." He goes, "No, Hill, you got one. You might get one or two in a lifetime." And I don't know if that's a good thing for you or a bad thing, but you're it.
It's one of the best things that happened in my life. I mean, and it's you can't build this without a kind of collaboration that runs much deeper than you think. And so the collaboration with you guys as an audience, the collaboration obviously from Dave and I, clearly it's an emotional connection. But we always just want to underscore the power of the community, what happens when you operate like a community, what happens when you go for your higher self and not your lower self. You can see by our guests and stuff, Dave and I are just the portals. We're the messengers, you guys are the power. And let me say this to you from he and I. We are nowhere near done. Nowhere near done. We're going to hit you upside the head with new stuff. Pensado Village is coming down the path, some new programming, some updating with the show, more guests, more things. We're so excited about the opportunities that have come about because of your power. And so what we're going to try to do is gather them, coalesce them, and get them back to you post-haste. So stick with us like you've done so far. Really incredible. And I think, I can't say this enough. Our team.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Dedicated people, way beyond.
It's easy to throw superlatives around, but nobody can touch our team. In the octagon or in the media center, they can't touch our team. They're badasses everywhere they go.
Even in the ulcerative colitis, they can't touch our team.
Wow.
So, thank you. Without further ado.
You know what?
Yes.
We should take a minute to give a special thanks to Mr. UC.
Yeah, go ahead.
Changor. Man, thanks for all the hard work, buddy. Changor is the glue that holds all of this together and probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. So, buddy, JD, the guys that are with us every week.
Cindy, everybody. I can't talk about it because I will just fall apart. So I'm done falling apart in 203 countries. Clearly, the team is somebody that I talk to on a regular basis. I'm close to. Dave obviously helps me oversee it.
I'm pretty sure next week you'll have a Kleenex endorsement.
I should,
ready to go.
Because right now I am not.
Because you're wiping it everywhere, all over you.
It's just nervous energy. Enough of this. Let's go to the guest intro. So, thank you for indulging us while we had that moment, and let's get you to what we thought was a really great show and a great interview. These guys are as cool and talented a bunch of guys that you could ever meet. Literally, to Dave and I, their success is as big as their hearts. We just fell in love with these folks.
Absolutely.
In another of our Avid NAMM series, from Maroon 5, please meet Sam Farrar, bass player, PJ Morton, incredible keyboard player, and just a badass of an engineer who's vital to their creative process, Noah Passavoy. Please enjoy our discussion with Maroon 5. So, without further ado, please welcome to the stage, from Maroon 5, PJ Morton, Sam Farrar, and the incredible engineer, Noah Mailbox Passavoy.
Noah, most important guy in the room.
Yeah. How are you, brother?
Hey, man. Pleasure to meet you, buddy.
You good?
Mailbox, you close?
Good.
Hey, man.
Nice
to see you.
Oh, I'm
all right.
middle.
Oh, man, you ain't got to do that.
Of course.
I should come to you.
Again?
You're at the place.
Pensado's Place.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Thank you.
That was the best ever.
Guys.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, one of the things that I always find fascinating for our community that breaks through to mega success is that people think mega success is just this wonderful ride and it just all goes well. There's upsides and downsides, isn't there?
Always, yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
Can you sort of give the distinction between a couple of them?
I mean, I think with anything, there's a lot of work. You know, it's never. It's always easy to see something and to be like, oh, they just suddenly appeared and had success, and it was quite
never
easy.
that way.
Yeah, and it's never that way. There's always a lot of blood, sweat, and tears behind everything.
And I find that as you get bigger, the work and the pressure and everything gets more. It doesn't get less.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. I mean, once you get there, then you got to stay there. The expectations are much higher. When people don't expect much, then you can make those mistakes. But then once you're there, it's like, okay, if you make a mistake, then people are really paying attention. So the pressure is much more.
Oh, we get killed. We'll take on new
now that you got
technology.
300, you guys.
And we'll get on the edge of something. What the fuck? You're betraying us here. We're like, no, we're not. We're just trying to.
Also, too, a lot of people don't know that the band started with the original members were 12 years old, and then they got to Kara's Flowers, which had a deal. That didn't work out. It wasn't a good record, by the way. And but yet
That was before me.
But yet the path to
Take notice.
success is not necessarily linear. Sometimes you have to go through making a record to learn how to make a record. And there were a couple of songs on that record that were amazing. The label let you down, all kidding aside. But man, like you guys are not that old and you've been together longer than the Stones. I mean that's
Yeah, those guys started it. I think it was 7th grade.
Sam
but,
was around for the
I was in
the
a-
whole thing.
Yeah, Sammy was
My
in
other
a
band,
rival
I was in a
band.
band called Phantom Planet, and we
I remember.
Right.
would play shows together all the time. And
Yeah.
I remember like being 16 and leaving high school and driving and signing a record deal. Like that's how early we started. I think some of our first shows, I was the only one that could drive. You know what I mean?
Is that
Like,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, it's kind of crazy that we've been doing it for that long.
And you got a little DNA in you. The moms and pops did some.
Oh, yeah.
Did some hit songs for some big artists.
My
So-
dad's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah, no question. I know some of those songs. I grew up
Yeah.
singing some of those songs. So
think
the
we
fact
all
that I like Olivia Newton-John should be a positive thing and not
Absolutely.
a negative thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that I think is cool. I find that more and more. First of all, where did mailbox come from as a nickname? You got to do the mailbox part.
Man, I wish there was a good story for that.
not a good one.
It's not, unfortunately.
It's underwhelming. It's
You bumped your head into a
No,
mailbox.
it's
there's a ding.
honestly, it has nothing to do with the mailbox. It was a poker game, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
something like that. And there was another friend whose name was Noah, who sort of some people had a falling out with. It was awkward. And one of our friends
Yeah.
is like, I can't be friends with you anymore. Every time I hear your name, I think of the other guy. And they were like, we should just change your name. One thing led to another. There was a friend.
We'll call you. We'll call you Marty.
Yeah.
And then another guy goes, "Well, I had a friend named Marty, the mailbox in high school. Oh, mailbox, cool."
And they're
done.
like mailbox,
That was
and
it.
it stuck.
And there it
literally,
is.
Yeah.
So it's not a good
12
story
years
at all
later.
but to this day it's stuck, and there's people who only know
We
me.
should make up a much better story
Yeah.
than
I
that.
know, we really should.
I don't know who Noah is.
Call
I
me.
didn't think that was
People
cool
want to know, is it M-A-I-L or M-A-L-E?
MAIL.
You should change it, M-A-L-E. That'd be better. That'd be hip, man.
Yeah, I'm the mailbox.
So one of the things I was going to was that we're finding more and more people in the community because it's really a family that makes this record. You understand the creative process. You can rely on each other.
Yeah.
You can fight like family. You can come out of it. And we're finding more and more guys in the engineering and mixing space that when they're valuable to the process are getting things like different kinds of credits.
Yeah.
They're getting some point participation and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody because you got to be part, but it's nice to see recognition finally.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think, it's always nice to get credit where credit's deserved and everything. But it is, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a collaborative process, and the lines often blur as to who's doing what. And if you can help out in a certain situation and help make the song or make whatever you're working on that much better, then, it's worth putting in.
Creative process. Who starts where? How does it start? Does it come from different places? What goes on?
Oh, it's been different every record.
Comes
really.
from all places.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Does it?
no rhyme or reason to where it comes from.
The pretty one doesn't get too much involvement too early, though, right?
You know, it depends. Sometimes we like to just like keep them on the side and then like let them come
idea.
Yeah.
I buy clothes at his family store for people. That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't need the dough. I don't know what I'm doing.
When you've made an album and now you've got to perform it on stage, how close do you like to come to the album? I like to go see a group be different than the album. What's your thoughts on
It's
that?
been an interesting argument. We've had
Yeah.
that a lot.
That's-
Trying to figure out that balance of.
I guess it depends on the song. But what
Yeah.
usually
It's
wins?
different eras to the band too. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of the older stuff where it was really heavily live instrumentation in the studio. We just play that stuff straight up. But then there's some stuff where some of those sounds matter because they make the song. People want to hear those sounds, but we try to always take it just a step further.
Yeah. Do you
and
still
be
perform
a
This
live-
Love?
Oh, absolutely. We have to.
You do the I've been told the remix version is amazing. Do you still?
We don't do the remix version.
No, we do. That's a straight up band
That's
song.
just, yeah.
Oh, because
There have been certain
I
ones,
mixed the
like-
remix version.
Which means it wasn't
Wake-up
you.
call.
That's what it means. It means it wasn't you.
Yeah, the unofficial remix. Nah,
Yeah, you should check it out. That's some good shit. Man.
we play it straight up, but that's one of, of course, that's a crowd favorite.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
sure.
but we even take that to another level and
Yeah.
add some key changes and all.
But I think it also depends. Like certain songs get, they've been playing them for so long, like they need to change things up a little bit just to.
Yeah.
Just keep it interesting.
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
was going to
Do you
pose.
do
So,
do you do a rigid set list, or do you
Pretty rigid.
play to the vibe of the
Yeah.
crowd?
The encore changes a little bit here and there.
Right.
Yeah, but certain things definitely
No,
stay. There are.
There's all the amount of
Production that you
Yeah,
got.
the sync.
Lights.
Oh, that's
all that
right.
stuff is
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, that's the
different
yeah.
from the clubs and stuff.
stages
Now,
and-
it's like
yeah, it's crazy.
these shows are kind of locked in, a lot of pieces, but then we can play around with certain things, like
Yeah.
you said with the encore.
There are definitely moments left in there that can move around a little bit
Oh,
more.
that's pretty
so
cool.
that
Do
everyone
you
can
ever
have
find
fun with that.
opportunity to strip it all down, go someplace quiet and small, do an acoustic set, or is it pretty much the same thing every time?
We used to have an acoustic set right in the middle of the show.
I think-
we
well, they
haven't
still-
been doing that, but we
they
got a
still do,
second stage
Yeah.
where
They do
we
She Will Be Loved. It's just Adam and James. They do that acoustic.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Very
Um,
cool.
we did R. Kelly's
Yeah, that's right.
what's song? Oh, Ignition.
Ignition.
Ah,
yeah.
that acoustic.
remix. Yeah.
that cover.
Did you
acoustic.
do a video based on anything R. Kelly has passed? Did you stay away from that?
Try to
No, we
stay away
stayed
from
away
that.
from the
Okay.
Cool.
visual
I just-
aspect of
I
R.
didn't
Kelly.
know. I got
Yeah, just the song.
As you inside the ecosystem, it seems to me in our research, there's room for you guys to do your things individually as well too. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, especially post voice.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
it
yeah.
opened up the schedule.
Yeah.
Where we can see on the schedule, Adam's got to be on TV right here.
Right.
So I can, if I want to work on a record or if I want to go produce something,
Yeah.
I have time built in. Which is good for us. It
Probably
makes,
keeps it fresh, right?
it does. When we see each other, we're happy.
He's the
we
hardest
still like
working
each
man in
other.
show business.
You know,
I don't know when
researched
you
him.
I'm crazy.
I couldn't get to the end of his website. I was just
Yeah.
no.
what else is he doing?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
I don't recommend what I do.
Are you playing in tomorrow's NFL game? Like,
Yeah, well, they got me on.
right.
I'm on the bench, but if they need me.
oh, no problem.
But it's refreshing for us because we actually really like each other. It's not one of those things.
shows.
We're actually really friends. And when we take time away, it's just refreshing when we get to see each other and play with each other because we really enjoy playing music together.
From a studio standpoint, are you always recording at the same place? Do you go different places to catch stuff?
It depends. There's certain places that I think everyone loves to work,
Right.
And we definitely try to stay there. But luckily, being in LA, there's
Lot of
a lot of
options.
great studios.
Lot of
Yeah.
options.
There's
I mean,
a lot of great studios.
I guess we can say, Conway's become
Conway's been
sort of a
very
home
good
for
to
us. It
Yeah.
really-
Very much.
I
We
Yeah.
really are there
Conway.
a lot. Of course, we go other places, but that has become
It's a
big,
great family at
Yeah,
Conway.
it's
such a yeah.
Do you have like a laptop rig at home to play with? What's your home studio like?
I do. It's funny. I think now, technology has made it so much easier to have
Yeah.
a professional thing at home.
Yeah.
So when I first started out, obviously it was like I gotta buy all this gear and everything. And now, I actually do. I run everything off my laptop, so that when I'm at a studio, I can actually just plug it into the HD rig, and have all my stuff running off of that. And then when I get home, I can plug it into my rig and have all that stuff. So it's always the same computer with me wherever I go.
New world, right?
Which is great, yeah. And then, a basic setup just to be able to mix and edit and stuff, but nothing like
Did I hear mix?
Same for you
Nothing
guys,
like
too.
you. Nothing like you.
Yeah,
Trust
that-
me.
no,
Yeah.
that's dangerous. You should
You don't
leave
even
that-
want to hear.
You should leave that to the professionals.
Absolutely.
Right? Am I wrong?
Well, this is our engineer. So he's
Yeah,
he's
he's
been
got
working on these
He's a
last
bad boy.
records.
He's a bad boy.
But it seems like even not guys who've gotten to the same pinnacle that you guys have something at home.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can take pieces and go other places
Yeah,
and do things.
you
with
definitely
it.
see that more and more now. Just, I mean, in working with a lot of other people, you see that like it can be a portable studio and it can have the power, and you just sort of kind of make it modular.
Yeah.
Who's your
and
buddy?
add-
Who's your buddy that has at the studio, and he's mixed the most incredible sounding dance stuff in a room that's like maybe 5 feet deep,
Yeah.
and a glass window on one side.
Damn.
It's
And
unbelievable.
it shouldn't sound that good.
Right, absolutely.
But like, if,
Yeah,
if you know what you're doing, you can.
it's unbelievable.
He's- it's crazy.
Yeah, Oliver. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're and they
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, and like you literally walked into the room, and I'm like, everything about this makes no sense about your
I know.
setup. Like
And
this
it's
should not.
spoken.
And the stuff that comes out of it, you're like, this is the best sounding kick drum I've ever heard. I have no idea how you're hearing that.
Yeah,
Like how
unbelievable.
that low end is coming through it all in your room, but
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time we had 40 Shabib on, who's Drake's guy, and he said the first 2 records, they picked hotel rooms based on the duvets for sound baffling, and they just did it beyond the fact of given the advance they got and what
Yeah.
it cost them to make the record, that probably worked out pretty
Yeah,
well.
Sure. Yeah.
But they literally sort of customized their portable stuff to go be in these
Yeah.
hotel rooms and did most of the record that way, and it
But that
worked
just
out.
shows, like, if you've got your base, your tools that you're comfortable with, it's all about the creativity. It's all about just what you make.
So for all you guys, that means you don't have any limitations. You don't have to get to the big studio. You don't have to do that. What you have to do is, and I want to ask these guys this, 2 things we see that are a constant. One is that, and I think Maroon 5 sort of represents this in some ways, from a technological standpoint, from a creative standpoint, push the envelope. Don't be afraid to be a hybrid. Get
Yeah.
influences from other places. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Expound
Yeah.
on that a bit.
100%. I mean, I think to stay creative, you've got to get out of comfort zones.
Yeah, you gotta stay inspired.
And you never know what's going to inspire you. So I think it's important to be open and available to whatever's happening because you don't know where it can come from.
And the other thing that a lot of our friends say, and that we've seen after 300 episodes, is that you have to use the technology. Don't let the technology use you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get so trapped by the technology that you lose your passion
Sure.
and character.
You're constantly, if you start, when you're constantly chasing like the latest piece of gear or the latest plug-in or whatever,
Yeah.
as opposed to, and I know I'm guilty of it too.
It's hard not to.
It's hard, yeah.
There's
It's like a
nothing-
sport.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Noah, that you need to know this. There's nothing like waking up in the morning and knowing there's a new plug-in
I
in
know.
your studio
Oh, trust
waiting
me.
for you.
I've been
man,
checking the
what-
NAMM updates every day for like
Yeah.
who's releasing what.
That sounded vaguely sexual. Like wake up in the morning,
like-
Waiting on you.
roll over on your
It is
plug-in.
sexual,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a
It is
pun in there.
sexual.
I'm
No,
going
I
to
don't
keep
know.
away from
I'm
the
not
plug.
proud.
Back off of
I'm
that.
not proud.
No, you never have been proud, but
But it's true. You've got to like. People made really great records with a lot of limitations, and I think when
Yeah.
you just keep chasing the technology of this, once I get this thing, it's gonna make like, as opposed to listening to the Beatles, and you're like, they made that with 8 tracks, and
100%.
better than anything I've ever done. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, having everything you want sometimes is a
too much.
disadvantage.
yeah.
Too much. So, guys, I think you're hearing it from pros who are telling you a couple things. The technology is something you use. Don't let it use you. Step outside the box. Get outside your comfort level. This is not, gender specific. This is about technology agnosticism.
It's just finding those couple of tools that you know inside and out, and using those to the full
Absolutely.
extension, the
Absolutely.
full ability.
And don't be afraid to make a mistake. A lot of the pros to our left have told us over and over and over for now going on, we're starting our 6th year, that mistake turned out to be the hook in the record or the character builder.
95% of the time.
See?
That's really
That one
Very
stupid
true.
thing the plug-in you accidentally left on the wrong channel ends up becoming the sound of the.
Yeah.
You write a whole song.
I mean,
around
I heard reggae was invented that way. It was a
Yeah.
mistake.
Is that
They
right?
left the delay on,
Yeah.
because they were doing just chunk, and then it went chunka, and they were like, wait, what's that? New genre. And there's a new genre.
I didn't know that.
So as you spend all your time trying to be perfect, you may be making the wrong move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to step back, disconnect. Your heart and your passion and the character of what you are and your ears and what you feel is as important in you getting to where you need to go in your career as knowing what to do from a technological standpoint.
When you're a kid, the thing that attracts your ear is the imperfections, and the perfection is never sexy, and it's never a component of creativity. It's the imperfections that are what we love and what we respond to in any form of creativity, particularly music. And I'm really good at imperfections.
Made a career of it.
Maybe a little too good.
Your go-to bass,
What?
is there one, or is it for a different bass for different things?
Definitely, but my favorite. I have a '62 Jazz. That's probably my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Sweet.
The neck, like, feels like butter at this point. It's been used
Sweet.
so much. So.
If you were to describe the Maroon 5 melange, the recipe, what are the musical influences in it?
Ooh.
Changing every record. It seems
It
like.
definitely has.
there's
Yeah,
a-
it has been fluid. It's not just a specific thing, which I think is great because I don't think any artist should stay
Right.
with one thing.
Always listening and growing. I think the initial formula. I mean, because from Kara's Flowers to Maroon 5, right? And this was before me. I joined the band in 2010, so it's just been 7 years. But just been, man, that's been it's
Fast, doesn't it?
But it was all the rock stuff that
Yeah, that's what we
those
all
guys
started on.
were into, and then Adam and Jesse got into Stevie Wonder, and it was their version of like merging
Those two
these
things,
two
yeah.
worlds
Yeah.
that kind of became the Maroon thing.
Oh, wow.
But since then, I mean, we're inspired by everything from hip hop to
Right.
to what's happening on pop radio to what's
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
in urban music.
And you guys will have a chance to ask questions of the guys in a minute. So in a minute, we'll open it up so you can ask some questions. It's your chance to learn. You should take it. I think from a musical standpoint, and you guys lived through some of this too. Dave and I certainly did, and some of our audience did. Oftentimes when there's great upheaval and disruption in the political climate is when music and musicians and lyrics and stuff really step forward and can take. That's my supposition that we're at a pregnant time
Yes.
for musicians to come up
Absolutely.
and step forward
To say
for
something.
any number of
I
reasons.
think art is very important right now
Right now,
across the
right?
board. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's a place where we can go not only express ourselves but also feel safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Absolutely. And I think music serves different purposes in times like that. One is to like express these feelings that,
Yep.
we're angry, whatever. Some of it is distraction, like let's party
Right.
and enjoy this. So I think people play different parts of that. But the music has always been like
Yeah.
the thing that makes people like
I agree.
this is our refuge right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is the time period? Is there does it take a couple years to make a Maroon 5 record? Is it different per record?
It's changed. I feel like
timeless, yeah.
we're talking about this. I feel like every record has been slightly faster than the last record, but still usually is over a period of time. Obviously the first record took their entire lives
lifetime.
up to that
Sure.
point, and the second record was
That was pretty slow, actually.
that was a 2-year period, maybe
Yeah.
something like that. So it's still definitely a process.
Do you not put it out till it's right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
got to be done. It's got to be right. Yeah,
Label leaves you alone.
for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Once you do a
And
little
this-
good, they back up a little bit.
Usually superstar bands have one guy in A&R who can come near. Everybody else needs to stay the hell away.
Yeah.
They take 60% of the input. The A&R guy thinks that they're taking 100% of it. Then the
Yeah.
band will meet later and sort of process and do their
But it
thing.
is nice
But it's
that-
a family, right?
In the studio, it's a safe place, and
Yes.
the outside world isn't really let into that, and it's
Right.
very much, this is a place to be creative and worry about this, and whatever comes out, then we'll worry about that.
Right.
But
exactly.
until then,
It's a-
let this happen.
Quincy
Yeah.
calls it church.
Yeah,
And you respect it, let God in, let the music in, and,
Yeah.
and leave it
Yeah.
alone, which
Right.
I think is a pretty good.
it's a perfect way of
Yeah.
saying
Working.
it. Absolutely.
Coming from a pretty cool guy who would know.
Yeah.
When you're successful, there's an economic relationship with that, individually, with the band as an entity, and so on and so forth. And I find it sort of forces you to if not be business-like, at least be aware or have people aware for you, because it becomes part of you. You have to be creative, but then you want to put it out so that it wins.
Yeah.
Are you guys encouraged about the state of the music business? Are you discouraged? What's your sort of general sense? There's a lot of disruption going on.
That's a good
Tentatively optimistic.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of stuff wrong right now.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely a lot of things that need to be fixed. But we also can't keep things the way they are. Things always have to grow. And I think it's, it's what's happening now. If you're like, nope, we should go back to the way it was. You're saying the same thing as if like when Dylan went electric.
Yeah.
And you've got to let things change. It's got to continue moving.
Right.
But at the same time, creators need to be compensated for what they're doing.
Yes.
People need to understand there's a value in music, in art.
Right.
That it isn't just created, it doesn't just appear out of the air. That there is someone who's putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah.
And they need to be able to feed their family at the end of the day.
Yeah. Trying to pay your rent with likes.
Yeah.
Is really hard.
Exactly.
Like it's just.
Oh, I got 10,000 downloads, but that's not going to, or 10,000 streams, that's not going to actually.
Your landlord doesn't go, oh, cool,
Yeah.
then don't,
Nice
you got
streams.
4 months free rent.
Yeah.
Shit,
That's some of them streams.
cool.
No.
As a keyboard guy, what's your go-to stuff? Do you compose on it? Is that where you
Well,
start?
I always, if it involves writing, it's always the piano for me. Is triggers that. I don't know. It's something about maybe those keys hitting the wood. But for us, especially the last 3 records, it's been synth heavy and we use,
Which is fun.
Absolutely, yeah. From the Juno to the Mellotron. But at the basis, writing is piano. There's a Nord patch that we've probably been using for years.
thing
It was
has been-
passed
yeah.
down to me.
Yeah.
This Nord patch is like,
It's the legacy
It's basically
patch.
the Maroon 5
It's like
patch.
it ends up on every song
It's
somehow.
like on
yeah.
every song.
on every record.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in there on every song. So that if
Fills the
anything's
space,
a
yeah.
go-to,
Yeah.
it's like, all
That
right,
might
I think
be.
it's time for that patch to fill it up. Yeah.
Very cool.
Huh?
Are you just observing?
Oh, I'm with the audience right now. If you had a choice between, this is one of those Barbara Walters questions. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Which do you prefer, being on stage or being in the studio?
Oh.
Well, for him,
100% in the studio.
he said 100% in the studio. His mic went away.
I think, I don't know. I love creating in the studio. I think,
You come back.
like you said, we do different things. As a writer, producer, I love the studio. As a player, I think especially for us with the band, the last couple of records, we brought more outside writers in. That's something that wasn't done earlier
that
on.
right?
So sometimes the way we make the songs ours is on that stage. So it's like I don't. Doesn't matter who wrote it. Once we get out here, we're all one, and we're saying this.
Do you ever check a song in front of a live audience anymore to see if it's going to make the album, or are you too big for that now?
I wouldn't say we're too big for anything, but we haven't done that. I think we've.
I mean, don't want.
We maybe
Actually, don't want to
picked
know.
singles that
was,
way.
don't want to know was played first on stage, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was already done, so we didn't.
We
really,
knew that it was coming out, though.
I think probably back in the day, that probably happened a lot more, but it's,
Yeah.
this.
And,
You
and
missed that?
Yeah.
I would.
I used to love that.
Guess we think we know a little.
There's
bit.
something about that, like that fear of, is this going to work?
right.
Yeah. Well, that was always the interesting thing about being a musician versus like an actor or something, where actors have to spend years making a movie and then it comes out and just cross your fingers that it's going to be,
Pray.
Yeah. Whereas you can play a song in front of 50 people and know pretty much straight away if it's a good song,
Well, there's a ghetto version of that managers used to do, which is, remember back in the day of Circuit Cities and all that kind of stuff, and there used to be like a stereo room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you went, I used to go on a Saturday when it was packed, slip a CD or a cassette in some place and just walk away and turn it up
Just see how-
loud.
yeah, and see how it
and
feels.
see if people go, what the fuck is that? Or
Yeah, if they
"What
go,
is that?"
they wander over.
Then I'd go back and report to the label.
Did you ever do that with one of my mixes? Be honest.
I did, and it got rejected. I just didn't tell you. I didn't want to tell you.
They actually
We put
shut
it
the
out
whole
anyways.
store down.
Yeah, absolutely. Go back to the songwriting process. What was the decision to go outside?
One record.
How do you select? Is it based on their history of songwriters, or
It was
what you like?
It was very kind of natural because up through the third record, it was very much all the songs were written internally, and it was never really. I don't think it was a choice. It was just never really occurred to anyone to work with outside people.
Right.
And then
It was a Hands All Over record.
yeah, that was for Hands All Over. And then Adam was doing a feature on a song, and was like, "This is actually a really cool song," and the producer of that song was like, "Oh, you should check this thing out." And that ended up being Moves Like Jagger, or the bass at the beginning of what became Moves Like Jagger.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "This is
There
incredible,"
was no verse.
and sat down with the writers. Everyone finished the song, and the rest is history. Yeah. And so from there on, it was kind of like, "Oh, this is a cool thing, like collaboration," and it's fun. I mean, working, at the end of the day, being in a room with a bunch of really creative people
amazing.
and making something is awesome. Yeah.
All right, let's get some questions going, so folks. We have somebody right over here, please.
Hello, hi. My question is for the gentleman in the middle.
Okay.
And you talked about your computer and how you take it with you everywhere you go. And I'm interested in knowing about your storage space and how you store all of your files and hard drives.
I mean, that's the thing. Along with the computer, there are hard drives that tend to travel. So everything, when I'm working, everything is still done to an external drive. So internally, there's I have samples and whatnot on the internal drive, but like any recording I'm doing is all going to an external FireWire drive. So it's just safer that way. I found that tracking onto system drive doesn't seem to be as stable. So yeah, I wish it was just like, I've tried to get my setup as small as possible so I can just carry it in one bag, but there's usually still like a hard drive case or two coming with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, yeah. One day.
Good question. Somebody on this side. All right, here we go. Man, that's about the dopest beard. Can you hoop? Do you play for Houston? You like James Harden?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
My question is about the record-making process and the timeline of it. So, can you please explain how it happens from the time the song is composed, or when you're writing the song, and to the time it goes for mixing and mastering? And how much interaction happens between the band and the mixing engineer? Do you go back and forth for reviews and everything? How does that happen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, every song has been different as far as like the timeline between sort of conception of the song to final mix.
Yeah, I think in like the songs about Jane period would have been getting the band together and rehearsing songs, as the old-fashioned way of trying to write and
a lot of
arrange.
pre-production.
And then the next record, it was a lot of demoing, or I should say more. And then you might even take some of that demo into the studio and then layer on top of it. And then I think
Third record was the same sort of thing. We really had a lot of demos.
It's amazing how much of the demos end up being in the actual song because you come up with these weird sounds.
Well, I think when you're not thinking about it, you just go with instinct, and a lot of the times your instinct's right. So
yeah, all the way up to like some of this new stuff that we've been doing, where the demo is like an 808 and a couple keyboard things and a weird loop and like 4 things on it, and it's pretty much ended up like that for the record. Just kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
You've helped put some air on it.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
You sort of add in around kind of what's already there. But then with the mix, there's a lot of back and forth, between kind of everyone involved as far as, we try to get it to as close of a place as possible before it goes off to mix. So we're really happy with it. So it isn't a case of like, they'll take care of it,
Right. Well, to that point, if I could just add a little bit of a manager's perspective, more and more I find that when the relationship is that way, there isn't that same distinction. Like, it's so much a part of the core creative
It's
group,
all, yeah.
and it's just all a melange. So what you guys have to know, for those guys who care about that and ladies who care about it, it's not just your technical skills. There's a psychological aspect, and you're a traffic cop sometimes, and you sometimes have to banter. Sometimes you're protecting the band from people from the outside coming in. Sometimes you represent that voice. So your ears are as important as what you have in your head, and learning that side is as important as it is.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
Totally.
fair? Yeah. I feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, this cat has to have a question. Go ahead.
Anyways, I just wanted to first of all thank you for letting me do the 20-second video in Malibu when you guys pulled up on your motorcycle. That's another story later. But anyways, I just wanted to give you much respect for your music because I'm a metalhead. A lot of my friends are from like Striper, Barren Cross, Deliverance, even Stevie Wonder, and many others. And I love your music. And I just want to say shout out to you guys. These guys are awesome.
Oh,
Take
cool.
care, Al.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We rock. All right, someplace in the middle. We've been on the sides. All right, let me just say, the people seated, you're not showing up too well. Okay, we got some here. All right, let's get him in the middle, and then we're going to go seated, and we're just going to wait on somebody. If you do nothing, we'll just wait for like a half hour until somebody comes up with something. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned as far as the songwriting process, you normally go to your piano. So when you guys go for these, when you start creating your material, is it normally you start from that raw area, from the raw spot, like raw instruments, and then when you meet together, I guess, what kind of mindset do you go in? I mean, I know all of you maybe have egos. I mean, I don't know you personally, but I mean, you guys are a band, and so how does that work with all of you? As an aspiring songwriter, most people I've worked with this too. So
I don't think there's one way.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong
I don't
answer.
think it's healthy to do it one way. I think the way you get inspired to write songs is to try different things. When I said piano, I just said that usually I start there because I'm a keyboard player, and that's where things get triggered. But
it's not always a piano directly. Sometimes it's a synth sound or a patch
just
you
one
have
sound
that you
on a synth,
like. Yeah,
and I build around that one sound. So while the piano is a go-to,
'cause that's the inspiration can sort of come
you
from
gotta
anywhere.
shock the system.
Yeah, I don't think there's much writing done with more than about 2 or 3 people. Like, it's pretty hard to write with more than that. And I would say a lot of the ideas are probably born off of one person sitting at a laptop or at their house with an acoustic, whatever and you take that idea to someone, you send it to them even, and then they work on it and they send it back. That tends to happen more now than, maybe back in the day that was a bit different. But.
Yeah, and I've heard songs that have been everything that, someone had an idea that was a fairly complete production down to was them humming what ended up being the chorus melody on a voice note.
Yeah.
Really?
And then everyone sits down and, tries to interpolate the chords out of that like voice note.
Wow.
So it comes from all over. Yeah, there's no one right way.
So you always have a shot. You always have a shot. If you don't live like you have a shot, you're not going to get a shot. So you got to take that shot because we have to listen. Those of us who are lucky enough to be at the stage we're at, we can't afford to let things go by. We listen, we check because you just never know. Now, here's the other side of it. If you're sending duty, if you're sending garbage, that will also be received that way as well too. Like you need to try to do your best and make it distinctive, and then it helps us to figure out what's good and make that selection. Now comes the pressure, the seated question, people. I see 2 hands. Over here, nothing. Oh.
Why
Pensado Village
Graham
too.
Cochran asking a question?
Let's get the young lady in the red, please.
Hi, thanks. First off, again, I have to shout out, thank you guys. Songs About Jane literally got me through middle school, so you guys are the
cool.
best.
Good for you.
And I'm at the struggling artist stage right now. I'm a singer-songwriter. I do lead a band. We're just doing the bar circuit type things, but it does get really almost like you get bogged down because it's always changing, and it's just what kind of advice could you give to someone like me that's hoping to be there as far as, I know luck's always involved too, but just, I guess almost like how is more,
Help.
yeah,
Great question.
Is there an answer to that? I don't know.
I don't know. If we knew, then
Right.
probably
That's always the
Good point.
zillionaires.
I think there is a lot of luck involved, but I think there's a lot of luck involved in getting your foot in the door in the first place. But I think being prepared for that moment when that does happen and being able to stand up and say, I do belong here.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm worthwhile. Like that's that's all on you to just be ready for that.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned from Herb is how to recognize an opportunity. I think most of us have way more opportunities than we know, and this man doesn't miss a single one. And
I have to pay rent. It's literally that simple. Yeah, I didn't mean, but
no, it's true.
I mean, we do have discussions about what we call living in opportunity, so that you're just aware when it comes around, and then you sort of think about it that way. I think what's so great about the advice they gave you is that you have to be prepared, which is another way of saying there's strategy to life. There's tactical application to life. If you're just going to go through life like this, those are the results you're going to get. And if you're okay with it being random, which some people are, that's okay. I'm uncomfortable with it being random. Pensado's place looks, as an example, like it's relaxed and we do it. This shit is planned with an inch of its life, pubic hair level. I'm just, no, I'm sorry to be so graphic, but the reality of it is, in order for us to be relaxed in the environment, we have to have it staged to be relaxed. So Dave and I can do that. I know when they do their shows, at the level they do their shows, the level of production going on around them gives them tight ways to be with the music. But they got to play that music inspired and feel good and swing with it. Am I representing this properly?
Absolutely.
And so it's not random how you get where you go. If your talent is not there and you learn the strategy, that will also tell you what you need to do with your talent. Do you know what I mean? So there's that kind of preparation. If you're not cut that way, get a friend. Find somebody who thinks that way on your behalf. It's going to be very hard for you to be successful and stay successful without that. I now will get off my soapbox.
Can I add one thing to that?
Let me jump back on the soapbox. Also, and I'm being a jerk and being very simplistic, if you open a restaurant and nobody comes to eat your food, you might want to think about changing the menu.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you guys don't mind, Tony Caridi has allowed us to run a couple more minutes. You guys cool?
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you having fun? Or are we
absolutely.
Not drastic, but just
There's
take the same ingredients, but try to make another dish.
Go ahead, Sam.
just one thing I was going to say is that the luck thing that we talk about. It is really a true thing, but it's a bit. It's more like you got to be at the right place at the right time. Like for Maroon, it was a crazy thing that no one was doing that at that moment when Songs About Jane came out. Like no one sounded like that, and then they toured it for 3 years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was working on. I did all the demos back then, and I remember like Adam coming in to my room like every morning, being like, "I got another one. Let's go."
Yeah.
Next day, I got another song. Let's go.
Willed it.
Yep.
Willed
And
it
like
to happen.
literally, just
Yeah.
we must have done like 40 songs. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And he never gave up, and he could see he had like a clear vision that Maroon was going to be big. Like
Yeah.
he never doubted it for 1 second.
Yep.
He was so broke.
Yeah.
And
Our show was not dissimilar to that story.
yeah,
It
and he
came-
just kept trying. You know?
Yeah, our show came out of a medical incident. And then we just decided it's in our book, and we got an opportunity, and we looked at each other. We called it the sushi conversation. We went for sushi, and we were like, do we go for this or not? And Dave said, let's go for it. And I said, that's trouble, because you're going to get Hurricane Herb, and you got to sign on for that if you want.
Right.
And I know Dave, and I know how particular he is. We both said cool, so we just went for it. We didn't know, but boy, once it started coming, we started handling it. So the same thing you need to do. Great question. All right, look, come on now. You want me to come out and say, all right, my man, come on. That is a bad boy right there. Is that Graham?
That's
hey,
Graham,
Herb.
Tampa in the house.
Good to see you, bud.
Stand up.
Oh, dude.
One of the places that we endorse the most as Pensado's place, who would almost be a competitor, is Recording Revolution, and Graham runs it and has run it for years.
Yeah.
Go to his site for good stuff. Graham Cochran.
I
go
love
ahead.
you, man.
Love you too.
Maroon 5, one of the great examples of a band that has changed a lot sonically and evolved and still had success. And you got those fans of any band or any artist that get so angry that you change. Why isn't it always sounding like Songs About Jane? If that's what they grew up with, or people that they listen to the old stuff like, what is that? That's not Maroon 5. Where's the synth? And what kind of pressure do you feel, if any, when you're writing, when you're making new records, to balance? You need to change. You need some variety and inspiration, but you want to give love to the stuff that got Maroon 5's, that sound that no one was doing in the early 2000s. How do you balance that pressure, if at all?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
Listen, I guess the thing that created that sound in the beginning was just the confidence and being themselves, you know? So that if anything is consistent, it's that. It wasn't about the sound. It was about this in the heart of, hey, man, I want to mix this with this. I want to mix it. So that's just continued to happen just in different ways.
Yeah.
But the consistent thing is being ourselves, being sure, and standing on that. Because just because it worked didn't mean we figured it out. You know what I mean? It just was like, all right, well, let's keep trying to do that. You know, so I think if anything, you should remain consistent at not the sound that worked for you, but the mentality that worked for you.
Yeah.
Would you guys get mad at me if I said the first time I heard your first song, don't get mad at me, because I had just finished mixing for this particular person, but I thought it was JK from Jamiroquai.
Oh,
I swear I did.
That happened a lot. Yeah.
No, that's not a bad thing at all.
I mean, there's definitely similarities of Sunday Morning.
Those
and
Jamiroquai, those records are amazing.
I mean, that's just,
but that's what made me fall in love with that record. I thought you were better.
All right, question, because he was a professional. He asked a question.
Stuart Zender, one of my
back,
favorite bass
nobody
players.
else down here? You just going to look at good-looking guys, huh? You're like, they're here and they're good-looking. Dave and Herb, they take away our ugliness, and I'm cool with that. All right, over here. Oh, and then we'll get you next.
Hey, what's happening?
How's it going?
How's it going?
My question is, how has streaming and consumer habits changed the way you produce music and the way you write songs? Because downloads were popular at one time, and it was just like quick downloads. You want to get people to quickly download it, but now streaming, you have to listen to it over and over again. Has that impacted your creative process any?
Do you mean like because it's so easy to hear it and over again, you want to write something that you don't get sick of?
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
That's a tricky one because you kind of want people to, you want it to be an earworm that sticks in your head and you can't get out of your
when
head.
you could say that streaming actually, because there's so many options. It used to be you'd buy a record and listen to it over and over again until your parents got pissed off at you for playing it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like now you've got every option. So you play a song once, then you move on to something else.
Yeah.
Like the attention span has become much shorter.
Yeah.
So you want to, it's almost like there's that much more pressure to write and create something that's really, really special so that people want to come back to it as opposed to what's next.
But I don't think that motive has changed.
I don't think it's changed. Yeah, that's always been
the motivation.
Is always
try to make the dopest thing that you can make.
Absolutely.
I don't think streaming's changed that.
One of the challenges that some of you guys face that's a little bit different from us who've been part of the big record system is pop music means popular. It doesn't mean you're a wimpy. It doesn't mean you're a sellout. It doesn't mean that you don't like independent music. It means that you like making a living. And popular
Very
music
true.
is something that is repeatable. And so we look to try to make hooks that stick in people's heads. We think that's a good destination, and to try to do things that stand the test of time and maybe go to scale. The incentive is not just big, but there's a craftsmanship to writing those kinds of things.
It's hard.
It's incredibly hard to be simple. It is easy. See that? Oh, shit. When Maroon 5 does that shit to what you say, I now can go home. I'm cool. I'm headed back to L.A. But the reality of it is guys like this, my partner, and guys like this, and ladies who are out doing this thing, the craftsmanship of being simple is a much harder art than being complicated. And it's the simple, brilliant things that stick and stay with you and that you're chasing. So for all those folks that may be friends of yours that diss that pursuit, it's not that their perspective is necessarily wrong, but they're missing a lot of the big picture. As craftsmen, as artists, that is a worthy goal to get to, and when you get there, you'd be amazed how satisfied you are creatively. If the business stuff happens, that's one thing, but creatively, you get. Is that fair, Sam?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, as kids, we want everybody to sing our songs.
Yeah.
As songwriters coming up, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's for everybody, the most people possible, to sing your songs.
You may need therapy
Satisfying.
if you want your song not to be heard and be independent. Like you just need to stay at home in your closet, just play it over and over.
That
and
was me. That was me as a songwriter.
That's why you became an engineer.
Yeah, that in his face, but for sure.
What I want to do is have you guys, first of all, to Avid and to our family, thank you for having us. Thank you for having such an incredible lineup and so forth. Give Avid a round of applause. To the wackiest, goofiest, most brilliant, crazy, hair disheveled, long-standing friend of mine, give Dave Pensado, the Pope of Audio, a round of applause. And to Sam Farrar, PJ Morton, and Noah I'm not even going to call him Mailbox anymore. Noah,
That's his name. That's his name.
Noah Passavoy.
I answer to both.
Give a round of applause to the incredible Maroon 5.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. It reminds me of the great hang we did with them. Dave, take us home.
Whew. I'm not normally a champagne drinker, but
It's good to
there's
see you
something
loose, baby.
there's something spectacular about this champagne, you know.
Actually,
300.
300th episode, we should pour some out for the homies.
Wow.
Say goodbye.
Wait a minute. Is that like something?
It's a black thing, brother. Do it with intent. Now say goodbye.
Bye-bye.